What's going on, guys? Fletch here again with another little softball video, a little update, little, what are we working on, all that kind of a thing. So, we're here obviously in the garage today. We're not out on a field or in a cage or anything. And I know there's certainly those out there that don't really love this kind of practice. And I get it. It's certainly very important in softball to place the ball, so that's definitely something you should work on as well. But especially if you're, a newer guy, a beginner, someone who's struggling with striking the ball consistently, I think this is a good, kind of a good drill, and not drill, kind of just a good, I guess, drill or a good tool to kind of get some swings in. And also, you don't always. It's convenient. I'm right at home. I don't have to worry about going anywhere. I'm chasing balls, stuff like that. Just kind of getting my work in, and stuff like that. So I also don't have to worry about what else is going on the field. I just worry about striking the ball clean, and getting used to really more so making good swings, making sure my body's working the way I want it to work, and I'm kind of getting the right contact and the right launch on the ball. So that's really kind of what I'm working on tonight. I am, in case you were wondering, I am swinging a wood bat. This is just my Victus wood baseball bat that I bought 10, 15 years ago that I still swing. Shout out to Victus and obviously my Natsa Marucci. Don't know if that's a tease of things to come or not, but time will tell. I am swinging a wood bat. I do like to swing a wood a little bit in practice. One, because it's a little heavier, and I feel like if I can do what I want to do with this bat, then I should be able to do what I want to do with a composite softball bat. Also, my bat is getting pretty close to not passing, and I want to save some swings on it because I'm not. I got to wait a little bit longer before I go ahead and replace it with a new bat for 2026. Little teaser to that. Whenever I make that decision, I will let you guys know. And please, if you have any recommendations or bats that you like that you've hit in 2026 that you think maybe I should swing, I'm definitely interested in listening, and we'll find out what I end up going with for 26. But also, it's a little bit quieter, people in my house, neighbors, stuff like that. So a little later at night, so I don't want to be too loud out here in the garage as well hitting. So essentially, one of my big issues lately, and I guess I'll face this way so you guys can kind of get a better look at what I'm talking about, is again, as a former baseball player, my kind of instincts, right, are to one load very early, and then again just not being used to waiting for that ball to come for so long, and getting way out front and hitting the ball with no power, essentially just throwing my hands at it, and it's really ugly and it's frustrating. And again, there's only inevitably you just kind of got to go. You got to go to work to fix that kind of thing. And then I've done other things where like, okay, I'm just going to try to see it deep, and then I'm here, and it just gets frustrating. So the way we get through that is we just kind of get back to basics, make sure everything's going smooth. You probably can't see it on the ground here because it's kind of worn out tape. But I've got a little home plate here. I've got my tee set up about where I want to attack the ball, so I do get to kind of practice where I stand. I guess again a benefit of having your own garage here, you can kind of work your setup. But so again, I'm kind of setting up where I normally set up in the box, and again where I kind of want to attack the ball. And one thing I've been working on is, again, one thing you should figure out with your swing, right, is again, I'm almost like before I'm even hitting, I'm thinking about, okay, so obviously I'm in my stance. I set up how I want to set up. And then again, okay, so I see the pitcher load. I'm kind of visualizing this, and he releases, and I want to make sure I'm getting a good load. Like I don't want to be, unsure. I want to be confident that I'm able to get into a good load into my backside, even a little bit, maybe potentially of a coil. And the other thing, again, from here that I really get in a bad habit of is by the time my step comes through, I'm getting open, and then then the bat's dipping, and then I'm throwing it like it can get really ugly. So that's again essentially what one of the things that the net is very good for is, again, I can work on my load. I can work on my stride and staying back here, not letting this happen, right? Staying back, and then again letting my hips go, and then really staying through the ball on a good plane. And again, practicing where I'm hitting the ball as well. Like again, now if I'm going to go, to backside, I might again catch the ball a little deep. Obviously, I don't want to go too hard backside right now because I don't want to hit into the wall. So I'm pretty much just hitting middle here. But that's also a good reset point as well for me, is just kind of going back. One of my favorite hitters of all time in Major League Baseball is Joey Votto. And one thing he always said is, when you're struggling, one of the best ways to reset is just focus on hitting through the middle, because essentially it kind of puts everything back on plane. And also, most pitches you can pretty much hit through the middle if it's a good pitch, especially with softball. So it's kind of what I'm doing. I'm pretty much just hitting middle here. And again, I'm focusing on getting a good load, good coil. Again, landing, stride and land without my upper body flying forward. So a good land, not getting open, right? Staying closed, keeping my hands back, and then driving through on a good plane. And that's pretty much kind of what I'm working on here. You can see I'm almost like I'm kind of over exaggerating really right now, where again, I'm getting into my load and then really focusing on keeping this back. Because again, I have a tendency to get here. So keeping this back and keeping that bat up. Because my bad swings are either I'm like dipping the right shoulder, catching the ball too low, or again, hitting the top. It's just that's again another spot where this tee work and just hitting into a net and focusing on contact is huge. Is again just being able to be slow, go through your motions, and focus on back control, stuff like that. So I saw another interesting video today that kind of provoked this whole thing, which was, shout out to Austin Daw. Not that he'll ever watch this, but he was giving a guy a lesson, I think at one of like the creator events that Smash It Sports does, or Anarchy, or one of those. And he was saying, again, it's not always a horrible idea to see a ball deep, but the later you see it, the more you're going to hit it high. And that's been an issue with me, is I'm like, okay, to try to not reach for it, I'm trying to see it deep, and I'm wondering why I'm popping it. Well, again, it's like the longer you wait, ball's coming down at an angle. It's like it's harder to stay in position and catch it. So I do kind of want to catch it out, but that's my thing. I want to be able to catch the ball out front without losing my power and be able to hit the ball hard. So keep that in mind. Another thing that was told to me, I was talking about this plate a little bit earlier, and being able to focus on staying in the same spot in the box, because that a lot of times is going to dictate how and where you see pitches. Now, again, I'm not the most consistent. I'll be honest with that. Like I've said it many times before. I'm 5'6", so again, depending if a pitcher is doing something consistently, like again, because what I hate again is, as a shorter guy, like I would like to be further back. Now, let me rewind for a second and say this. So what you see on YouTube in the conference and stuff like that is a lot different kind of than what you see in league night, for a lot of reasons. So again, one reason being, in conference you got pitchers that were a lot more consistent, but also, at least here in Florida, in Palm Beach County where I play league, basically every league that I've played in, the plate is considered a part of the strike zone. So if the ball hits anywhere on the plate, or up to, again, you put the bat down however far behind the plate that is, 10 inches. I'm not 100% sure how far that. This is actually only a 32-inch bat, but however far that is behind it to what the normal strike zone is, which is like back to here. I mean, that's a long strike zone. So if I'm way up in the box, I mean, that pitch can come in pretty high on me, and I'm not going to be able to. So there's just a pitch that I can't hit. I mean, I stand pretty neutral generally in the box because I like having my front foot up near the. I know some guys like their back foot up on the plate. Again, for me, like I said, I can just unfortunately get abused by those deep pitches, and I'll never be able to hit one. So I have to be back a little bit, but I also don't want to be too far back because again, then everything's really dropping in front of me, and then I can get abused by that front strike that I'll never hit because it's dropping here. So again, I'm pretty neutral because again, I want to be able to eliminate that short pitch, but also again, even the deep pitch, I mean, is still, I mean, it's still hittable. It's a little bit high, but again, so if it's early in a count, I don't have a strike on me, I can let it go. But if I have to hit that pitch, I want to be able to hit it as well. But the same thing also is going back to what Austin Dahl was saying. If you want to hit a ball down, right? You do got to catch it a little bit out front. It's almost impossible to catch a pitch here and try to hit it down. It's just, I mean, unless you're really tall. But for me, that's going to be quite the challenge to hit a pitch here and to try to get it down. So I do need to catch it more out front, but I need to do that without throwing my body. And that's really the big thing that I'm working on right now is again loading, striding, but not throwing my body, staying back and throwing the barrel and getting the ball down. Especially with the way softball bats are, depending on what kind of bat you swing. If you swing, especially a two-piece, and even more so the more end load you have, you want to get that bat out. You know, I was told that by a buddy of mine that's a tournament player. I think he was AV player, been recently reclassified to like C. But he's played in big tournaments. He's one of the best hitters I know. And he God, I just totally lost my train of thought there. But he one of the first things he said when he saw my swing when I started playing with him was he's like, dude, you're not hitting a baseball anymore. You're hitting a softball. You need to let that barrel, you need to get that bat out there and throw the bat to it. So that's kind of part of what I'm working on, to use the bat's weight to your advantage. And let it fly. And that's another thing with me too. Like again, as I progress and get more together, get more comfortable, generate more power, maybe I'll start working on things like hitting deeper. But honestly, for now, I have no reason to put the ball in the air. I mean, to an extent, like I don't. If I hit the ball high, it's a fly out to the outfield probably 90+% of the time. Like that's not a high percentage play for me. So I want to hit the ball low. I don't want to put it on the ground necessarily, but I want to put it again in the air through the infield and preferably go at a hole. So that's kind of, and that one I felt my foot trying to open. That's what I've been playing. I know this is not good, but playing around my stance a little bit. Sometimes trying to be, a little more open, so I feel like I have to close because I've been kind of standing a little bit more closed, but then I feel like I open early when I do that, which I don't want. Like again, you can see how these balls are launching. Now again, granted I'm hitting a wood bat, not a composite, and it has a bigger barrel, but you can see how these balls are launching. They're not going up. They're going pretty straight on, which is pretty much how I want to hit the ball. I don't want the ball shooting up in the air at a high launch angle at all. If I cut it, great. If not, I can hit it hopefully with enough power, still get it through the infield. the same friend I was talking about, I did like an hour worth of tee work before my game last night with, and he basically, and I've hit tee work with him on field in cage, and he just smokes middle. Like that's where he kind of feels comfortable hitting down. And like most good players, he doesn't practice hitting dingers. He practices hitting the ball down and getting hits, which is really what you should do. Um, and so that's kind of one of the things that I've adapted a little bit into my practice is just trying to stay down and hitting a lot of middle. For me, that's just kind of the easiest place to go. Even though we play with nets, which again makes these interesting. I kind of, if I'm really like on a field and I have a screen in front of me, I try to practice. And you've seen it in some other videos, going just right of the net, going just left of the net. Because generally, again, depending on how the defense is playing, if you got a shortstop that's playing in the hole, that because again, in league night with a net, most pitchers are not going to try to play defense. They're not wearing gear, a helmet, and shin guards. They're not going to try to get in front of a ball. So if you can put it just a little left or just a little right of the net, it also depends on site. Like if the infield is playing more traditionally, then you can kind of get away with hitting, especially for a right-handed hitter. I'll give you an example. I played last Thursday, and every at bat walking up, I looked at the defense. Shortstop was playing pretty much in the hole against righties, and the second baseman was playing way up the middle. And last night was actually pretty similar, where I knew first at bat I went 3-4 hole because again they were just leaving that hole there. But again, Thursday I went more, like I said, left of the screen, what we would call kind of 1-6 because there's no 5-man, where probably a 5-man would be. But I went twice to that hole because again, if it's there, and that's kind of where I feel the most comfortable, if I can get a pitch up in the middle, it's not that, I mean, it's the easiest spot for me to stay through and hit a ball hard. And I can do it with, and I have less margin of error. Whereas if I'm trying to really pull 1-5-6, I definitely have to have a more inside pitch. Again, my swing can kind of break down a little bit trying to get open, and a lot can happen. Same thing with 3-4. I got to see it deep, and then I run again, risk of things happening. So that's one thing that I will be working on. Probably the next time I go out to a field is again hitting those holes without really trying to get too crazy about how deep the ball is or without catching it too far out front. Again, like I said, load, land closed, keeping back. Bang. Shit. Of course, I just knocked one off the garage door behind me because I crushed that one a little bit in the air. But again, that's another thing I've learned is where your power comes from. Again, if you can keep this back through the stride, then everything can kind of come through more together with your core, with your legs. And then again, the force is generated from the ground up. Whereas if I'm here, this is all I got. Whereas if I'm coming through and this lands and I'm still back and I can push through, I can generate, a lot. But again, within reason, because I also don't want this happening. So trying to keep everything. That was better. That's one of my best swings yet, for sure. So probably close it up with that. I've been talking for a long time. So as always, hope this helped you out. And again, drop your comments down below. Let me know what bats I should take a look at for 2026.